There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please, may you be seated? Statements by members. Are there any member statements? Honorable Masia.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to the entire House, Honorable Speaker, and I rise on behalf of the African National Congress. I would like to extend our congratulations to the community of Governing Mbeki, in particular Ward 4, for winning the by-election which was recently held on the 28th of February 2024. The ward was previously represented by the ANC and became vacant as a result of a death of a councillor. There were 6 political parties contesting the ward: the ANC, the IFP, the MK, IFP, Truth, and the SKCP. The ANC candidate won the ward with 51% of valid voters. Honorable Speaker, we must never forget the importance of making our voice heard. We must always remember that someone struggled for your right to vote. We congratulate the community of Ward 4 in Governing Mbeki municipality for voting for the People's Organization, the African National Congress, and the African National Congress, and to argue the councillor to represent the constituency correctly by rendering proper service delivery. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mashilo.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. Indeed, we welcome the input made by the Honorable Masia for ANC having walloped all small parties, that some of them are represented here. Congratulations, ANC. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mlombo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to you. Good morning to the Leader of Government Business, to all the honorable members, the Deputy Chief Whip, Deputy Speaker. I rise on behalf of the African National Congress to render a statement with regard to the Mpuluzi 8 comrades who have perished while on their way from Durban. Honorable Speaker, the African National Congress sends its heartfelt condolences to the families of the 8 comrades who passed away while on their way from the ANC National Manifesto launch at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban. The 8 comrades are from the Chief Albert Luthuli municipality in Mpuluzi. Their names are Comrade Rose Masego, Comrade Sombu Pagati, Comrade Anele Ntlabati, Comrade Mpumi Ntlabati, Comrade Tembelintle Madonsela, Comrade Makosi Mahlaba, Comrade Zanele Koza, and Comrade Sisekelo Simelane. The visit by the President of the African National Congress and the President of the country to comfort the bereaved families is appreciated by us as the provincial legislature, but also by the people of this province and, in fact, the bereaved families. This visit demonstrates the practice of Ubuntu, and it also demonstrates that the African National Congress is, in fact, a caring organization. These comrades, they were all laid to rest on the 2nd and the 3rd of March, respectively. Honorable Speaker, we pray that the families, friends, and the ANC may find comfort in these trying and difficult times. May their soul rest in perfect peace. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mashilo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, it was a sad moment as we buried these freedom fighters, comrades of importance. These are wives and mothers of their kids. They left the young kids as they do so in the revolution. We agree with Honorable Chief Whip that may their soul rest in peace. I'll suddenly ask this House to pay a moment of silence in respecting these comrades. And we must thank comrades who attended, including the EFF, who indeed supported the funeral of these comrades. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Honorable Sitole.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to deliver a member statement on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. Honorable Speaker, parents have been asked to pay 500 rand each to help fence a public school because the provincial government has failed to do so. In April last year, the DA laid a complaint with the South African Human Rights Commission asking them to investigate why Ritgol Primary School in Delmas has not been fenced for years, which compromises the safety of learners and educators. The department made a commitment in 2023 that they have included the school in the 2023-2024 plan to be considered for fencing during budget adjustment review. Honorable Speaker, a year later, the school is still without a fence, and the department has gone dead quiet about this. This has prompted the school to ask parents to pay 500 rand each to fence the school themselves. The majority of the learners who attend Ritgol Primary School are from the nearby informal settlements, and most of the parents are unemployed. How are these parents going to pay 500 rand? This government is placing the burden on the poor of the poorest. Honorable Speaker, can the Honorable MEC explain to this august House why the department has not fenced the school, even though they made a commitment last year? In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, can the MEC intervene on this matter before parents are ripped of their money, which should be used to buy bread for their children? I thank you.
Honorable Machuba.
Sabotage. Okay, thank you. No, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let's appreciate the Honorable Member for raising such an issue. I appreciated that the DA is also raising issues in favor of the poor and the working class. After all, I know DA to be a capitalist organization. But I understand the elections are coming. That is why everybody wants the working class to be following them. We have got a program of fencing all schools in the province. And we are in the pipeline, depending on the budget at hand, to make sure that all the public schools in the province are fenced. If by now it hasn't as yet been fenced, it's on the basis of the budget cuts that we had, but once money is there, we'll be able to make sure that we deal with that. Definitely we're going to look into that. Already we've got a policy of making sure that we fence all the public schools. But DA is a capitalist organization, does not talk for the poor. It talks for the rich.
Honorable MEC, can you please take your seat? Honorable members, in terms of our rules, Rule 37, subsection 1, and the heading, its members not to be interrupted. A member may not interrupt another member while speaking. except to put a question to such a member or call attention to a point of order, a question of privilege, or the presence of non-members on the floor of the House. I request honorable members to abide by the rules which are adopted by Mpumalanga Provincial Legislature, and the executive is accounting to the legislature, who must give them an opportunity to respond to the statements that are raised by honorable members. Can you please conclude, Honorable MEC?
No, I've concluded, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mkabela?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, some 30 years ago, Honorable Speaker, some 30 years ago, the ANC made promises to change the lives of the previously marginalized and disadvantaged, making education fashionable and building new decent schools. Madam Speaker, I rise today with a heavy heart, especially after listening to the Honorable Premier delivering her state of the province on Friday, to report to this August House on behalf of the economic freedom fighters that the Department of Education has failed the people of Mpumalanga by failing to build decent and safe schools. Makhatlishe Primary School in Akonuk within the Bushbuck Ridge local municipality is one of the many schools that come to mind, that it has been decades since the school has been operating under the constraints of informal classrooms, severe impacting effective teaching and learning from taking place. The school is old, dilapidated, and unsafe for use as it was built from mud. The department has been promising the community to build the school since 2018, but to date, nothing has been done. Information at our disposal suggests that in March 2022, the Department of Education, together with Public Works officials, visited the school to conduct a feasibility study, and their findings did indeed portray a dreary scenario with dilapidated classrooms and inadequate ablution blocks, and that the school should be demolished. Without doubt, these conditions jeopardize teaching and learning and the safety of both the learners and the teachers. The EFF will therefore like to call both the Honorable Premier, Refilwe Tsipane, to intervene with immediate effect and ensure that the Department of Public Works, Roads and Transport, together with the Department of Education, construct Makhatlishe Primary School in order to enhance effective teaching and learning in a safe and conducive environment. I thank you.
Just a reminder to honorable members that in terms of our rules, the time allocation for statements is as follows. Each statement is 1.5 minutes in accordance with Rule 93, subsection 1, and a response to a statement in terms of Rule 93, subsection 6 is 2 minutes. Honorable Machuba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let's appreciate the Honorable Member for raising the issue of that school. Indeed, it is true that we have got a huge backlog throughout the country insofar as infrastructure is concerned, especially in Bushbuck Ridge. Many of our schools are dilapidated, and the mere fact that we had a 2-year of COVID that affected us not to be able to continue with our projects, because the money that was used for infrastructure was used to buy PPEs. That caused a delay of us having to deal with some of the projects. But I can assure you, Honorable Member, that all those schools are on the pipeline of being rebuilt. Others already are renovated throughout Bushbuck Ridge and throughout the province. we are going to definitely take care of the school. Thank you very much.
Is there any member statement? Honorable Weber.
Madam Speaker, I rise to deliver a member statement on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus. It is unacceptable that the residents of informal settlements in Mpumalanga who are demanding municipal services resort to protest action as their first option. They must rather engage with the various municipal councils or ANC leadership so that solutions to their problems and frustrations can be found. Residents of settlements in Pinar, Bushbuck Ridge, Govan-Begi have since the beginning of 2024 caused severe disruptions on the main routes to the province. By blocking the road with burning tires and other objects, this morning the R37 road between Leidenburg and Bombela has been closed by protesters. These routes were closed for several hours, forcing motorists to turn around and find another way to get to work. These protesters demand municipal services like electricity, water, and sanitation. It is imperative that the leaders of these role players are invited to engage in constructive talks to address their grievances and find an amicable solution. The initiative should be aimed at preventing any further protest action which cause inconvenience as well as property and economic damage. The Freedom Front Plus is committed to proper service delivery. The Freedom Front Plus is also committed to the construction of new infrastructure and rendering services as well as the maintenance of existing infrastructure. This must happen without disrupting service delivery to loyal taxpayers and only when residents of informal settlements are willing to pay for these services.
Honorable Weber. Conclude.
Okay. The Freedom Front Plus is calling on residents to take up any disputes directly with the leaders of the ANC government instead of launching radical protest actions. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Mashilo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We agree with Honorable Weber insofar as community engaging before they can take a protest. However, our founding leader and father, Mandela, did said if people are not happy, they must do what they have done to the apartheid government. So it's not too far-fetched if people doesn't get what they want and make a protest. What we think is a daydream is what Honorable Weber said. FF Plus is committed to do the infrastructure. We don't think we've got the capacity to do that. We regard it as a daydream. Mhlobo wami, uyaphupha nje emini usitting e-legislature. Kodwa siyavumelana. Abantu mabanga moshi impahla encane ese ikhona. Ngoba kuzasithatha ixesha ukuthi silungise futhi. Siyabonga.
Executive statements. I am informed that there are no executive statements. Motions without notice. Are there any motions without notice? Honorable Mashego.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, members of the executive, my colleagues, and the public. Honorable Speaker, the ANC is thrilled with the latest job creation data on the quarterly labor force survey issued by Statistics South Africa, which indicates that Mpumalanga recorded a net quarterly job gains of around 48,000 in the third quarter of 2023. This data clearly depicts hope for the province. Noting that according to Statistics South Africa, the finance industry recorded the highest job gains, followed by mining and private households. This is the highest employment level recorded in Mpumalanga, as it has reportedly performed better than the other provinces in the October to December 2023. If approached from the quarterly job creation on an industrial level, Mpumalanga ranked second highest or best in trade, mining and private household, as well as the third highest best in finance and utilities. The pronouncement during the State of the Province in 2023 on job creation is bearing fruits, especially for the youth. The programs implemented by government on job creation and supporting entrepreneurship is yielding positive spin-offs. As the ANC, we appreciate that jobs are created and we expect to do more. Honorable Speaker, I move that this House congratulate this good initiative by our provincial government in creating jobs for our poor communities. I so move.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to? The motion is defeated. Honorable Mahlangu.
Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the African National Congress, I would like to rise and move a motion without notice for this House to appreciate our national government for planning to host the second presidential imbizo in our province. The President and his cabinet ministers will hold the imbizo at Saim Timuye Stadium in Emalahleni local municipality this week. Noting that the presidential imbizo will pull about 3,000 people across the province. Amongst them will be traditional leaders, civil society organs, labor, women, youth, people living with disabilities, and business representatives. We hope and believe that this stakeholders' engagement will bring change to needy people of Emalahleni municipality. Honorable Speaker, I move that this House congratulate the good initiative by our Presidential Office and his cabinet ministers. This is indeed an indication that the ANC cares for the people of this province. I so move.
Honorable members, we must correct. It's people with disabilities, not people living with disabilities. The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to? The motion is defeated. Honorable Malachi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to your good self, the Premier, colleagues, and all the people in the gallery. Honorable Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Economic Freedom Fighters to commend the EFF Student Command Team in Nkangala TVET colleges for making a clean sweep during the recent held SRC elections. The EFF is overwhelmed and humbled at the same time by the support of young people who, by the way, are the future of this country. This is a proof enough that young people are hungry for change and understand that it is only the EFF that can bring about change. As I sit down, Madam Speaker, allow me to extend an invitation to everyone in Mpumalanga citizens to come and fill Kwanyamazane Stadium as we launch the People's Provincial Election Manifesto on Saturday, the 9th of March. I so move.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion. Agreed to? The motion is defeated. Honorable Khrovie Morgan.
Greetings, Honorable Speaker, and greetings to the House at large. I rise to deliver the motion without notice on behalf of the Democratic Alliance. Noting that the population of Mpumalanga has risen to 5.1 million people, and with this increase, our schools are now literally bursting at the seams as they are unable to accommodate the influx of learners. Further noting that Mpumalanga has closed many schools down over the past years and promised to replace those with more boarding schools or state-of-the-art schools. Noting further that neither the Department of Education nor Public Works has in the past years been able to keep this promise, with many schools still in the planning phase, construction phase, or never complete phase. Further noting that the most vulnerable learners are at risk, especially the learners with needs who need more support due to learning challenges and are always left in the cold as the process to evaluate the learners is hindered and prolonged by the department as they have nowhere to send these learners to. Noting that in the Premier SOPA on Friday, it was mentioned that 3 new special schools have been built. However, these schools are non-functional and have not eased the pressure on the current 18 special schools which have more than a 4-week waiting list. I therefore move that this House adopts the 3 new special schools are opened without delay to assist the influx of special learners. The Department of Education and Public Works devises a plan to expedite the incomplete projects with immediate effect. I so move.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion agreed to. The motion is defeated. Honorable Weber.
We didn't hear the no.
Madam Speaker, I keenly await the outcome of my member statement, my motion without notice, because all the motions are being defeated, but mine might survive. Madam Speaker, I rise to deliver a motion without notice on behalf of the Freedom Front Plus. The Freedom Front Plus commends the Mpumalanga Department of Health, who stated that it will institute disciplinary action against the doctor who allegedly stole medication and equipment worth 50,000 rand from the Middelburg Hospital. This is the type of proactive action that all departments should take with regards to illegal activities. The 31-year-old female medical doctor appeared before the Middelburg Magistrates Court on Monday after allegedly stealing the medication and medical equipment. Theft is a criminal act involving deceitful practices for personal gain or to cause damage to another individual that has a domino effect on society at large. It not only disrupts the economic stability of the targeted party, but also jeopardizes social trust. Driven by the increasing wave of these types of offenses, strong action by provincial department must surface as strongholds committed to maintaining balance and honesty, and also serve as a deterrent to would-be criminals. The Freedom Front Plus will follow the disciplinary process keenly. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The question before the House is whether we agree to adopt the motion agreed to. So agreed. Notices of motion. Are there notices of motion? Formal motions. I am informed that there are no formal motions. Orders of the day. The Secretary shall read the first order of the day.
Order number 1, debate on the Honorable Premier State of the Province Address.
I have a speakers list in front of me. I will now call upon the Honorable S.J. Manzini from the ANC, and you are given 10 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker and the Deputy Speaker of the Legislature, the Honorable Premier of Mpumalanga, the members of the Executive Council, Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party, members of the Mpumalanga Legislature, and the people of Mpumalanga. Madam Speaker and the Honorable Premier, the history teaches us that the development of mankind has been marked by ceaseless struggles of progressive human beings and philosophers against ignorance and superstition. It also teaches us that in every exploiting class society, there are forces, the backward social classes that stand to lose by the dissemination of progressive ideas, views, and truth. These backward forces always stand directly opposed to progressive human beings who represent the truth and will always seek, persecute, and distort progressive activists, scientists, and philosophers, as we see in this house today. Without any shadow of the doubt, I am confident that the representatives of these backward social classes will today sought to distort our Premier's well-crafted and delivered State of the Province address with the aim of depriving it its profound meaning on the daily lives of the people of Mpumalanga and concealing the contribution we are making as a province in building a better life for all. They will attempt to deny the progress we have made as a province since 1994 because they find comfort in ignorance and superstition over fact and truth. Honorable Premier, Honorable Speaker, Premier concluded your speech by reminding this House of the fact we shine brighter than ignorance and superstition as revealed by Statistics South Africa in 2022 census. As articulated in your speech that in 1994, our population was a mere 3.3 million people, and today we are 5.1 million people in Mpumalanga. The most important fact is that the quality of life of these people of Mpumalanga continues to improve on a number of human development indicators. Like the average household size has decreased from 3.8 to 3.6 in the last decade, meaning that even though the population is increasing, the number of people living in one house has decreased. And this is partly due to the different housing schemes offered by the democratic government. These scientific facts, which shine brighter than ignorance and superstition, reveal that in the period of 2011 to 2022, the percentage of people in Mpumalanga who are living in informal dwellings has increased from 83.8% to 92.2%. Those using flush toilets connected to sewerage has increased from 43.8 to 54.9. Those with access to piped water in dwellings have from 35.7 to 47%. And those with access to electricity has increased from 84.4% to 93.7%, and those weekly refuse removal from 42 to 51%. This significant progress, which can be seen, touched, and felt by the people of Mpumalanga, is a concrete expression of ANC's commitment to meeting our citizens' basic needs, which was announced in the first State of the Nation address in 1994 by President Nelson Mandela, when he spoke of several measures to implement the Reconstruction and Development Program. Honorable Speaker, when freedom fighters sang Oliver Tambo, Teta Nobota, Akhululu Mandela, Azopata, amongst the many things at the top of their minds was that Mandela's government was going to implement a clear economic policy which will put people's address the very clear racial and gender inequality in ownership, employment, and skills. They understood that past industrial policies assisted in creating employment and were an important factor in developing industry, but they were also accompanied by the representative labor practice, neglect of training, isolation of world economy, and excessive concentration of economic power. The fact in front of today shine brighter than ignorance and superstition reveal that we have also made significant progress in implementing our economic strategy. And as a result, we have grown the GDP from 46 billion we inherited in 1994 to 580 billion in 2023. Our GDP is now 12 times bigger than what it was when we took over in 1994. And we are now the fourth largest economy in the country with GDP per capita of about 79,000 per annum. Our economy now employs more than 1.25 million people, and this is significant growth from the economy, which only had a workforce of 627,000 when we took over in 1994. And we have drastically reduced the percentage of people living below the lower bound poverty line from 64% to 49.5%. These are stubborn facts as it relates to the economy, which no sane literate can deny or dispute, but can only be rejected by those who find comfort in ignorance and superstition over fact and truth. Honorable Speaker, almost 25% of the GDP of our province is generated from mining, and in the main, this is coal mining. Our economic strategy promotes the participation of historically disadvantaged in the entire mining value chain, and it is against this background that we fully support the carbon capture project being implemented by the Department of Minerals and Energy in Leandra. The successful implementation of this project will allow us to continue mining coal while we reduce carbon emission to meet our green targets, because we are acutely aware that we cannot close down coal mines in Mpumalanga, as this will have a negative impact the livelihood of 2.5 million people, as revealed by a report recently. The recent manifesto of the ANC clearly articulates that there is no shortage of work to be done to make South Africa a better place. In every street, community, and village, people are ready and willing to contribute to social and economic development. That is why the support you provide to SMME in this province, Honorable Premier, does not go unnoticed, and it is most welcome. Our government is working hard at work to increase support for small enterprise entrepreneurs and cooperatives, especially in township and villages, providing additional work opportunities we set aside for women, youth, and persons with disability. Our government will continue to engage the private sector on job creation to protect jobs and contribute to provincial effort to create employment and improve the productivity of the province. We will never stop promoting and monitoring employment equity to ensure that Black people, women, and persons with disability are represented in the public and private sector, in the professions and artisanal sectors, towards the growth of the vibrant non-racial and non-sexist middle strata critical to the development of the province. We are caring and compassionate government which is working hard to make the economy work for the people. The RDP, which was in ANC blueprint in governing South Africa, held 6 priorities similar to the recent manifesto of the ANC. And these priorities included free healthcare to pregnant women and children under 6, free housing for the poor, and massive rollout of water, sanitation, electricity to those previously excluded. It also included the protection of workers' rights and a focus on the rights of women, youth, persons with disability, children, and older persons. 30 years later, South Africa has achieved remarkable progress in providing some of these priorities. The Honorable Premier mentioned some of this progress in her speech, especially on the health-related matters. Our health outcomes have improved drastically, and now all people in Mpumalanga have now living longer life expectancy than before. The people of Mpumalanga are no longer dying through variety of communicable and non-communicable disease owing to the improved health services which are provided by this government. Our commitment to quality health care has seen the life expectancy increase from 50 years to 65 years, which is slowly moving the complete with development countries. The President of the Republic of South Africa is about to sign the National Health Bill, and as a province, we are ready. Madam Speaker, ours is a democracy of plurality and diversity, and that's why in all we do, we try to be as inclusive as possible. As we march towards the ANC victory on the 29th of May 2024, we encourage the people of Mpumalanga to focus on shining facts and truth over ignorance and superstition, as no society has ever developed without science and truth. And the ANC remain one of the most credible holders of science and truth, despite the challenges which face on our daily basis. And Honorable Speaker, it is guaranteed ukuthi siyabuya.
I will call upon Honorable T.S. Chomo from the ANC, and you are given 8 minutes.
No, thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings to you and everyone. I think protocol has been established on my behalf by Honorable Manzini. And I must really appreciate her speech because she has provided some bit of political education to some of our clueless members that are part of this House. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Premier has on Friday outlined what was an extensive and very visionary state address, beckoning us to do more in advancing an historic mission of total emancipation of our people and in construction what we call a national democratic society. Honorable Speaker, the address by the Premier was anchored and centered around the Freedom Charter, a document that embraces the aspirations and hopes of all the motive forces, particularly the marginalized, working class, and downtrodden masses of our people. That is why, as the ANC-led government, we remain unwavering in our quest to deliver sustainable services to our people. Honorable Speaker and members, the ANC remained the only beacon of hope for the masses of our people who were impoverished by the past regime and did not recognize their political, social, and economic rights. Our historical reality points to the fact that majority of our people were placed on the periphery of the social, economic, and political scheme of things. The address by the Premier was an assurance and commitment that as the ANC, we will continue to deliver every means at our disposal to improve the living conditions of all South Africans. Honorable Speaker, let me unambiguously state the fact that the fight for political freedom was predicated on the persistence of socio-economic inequalities directed to most of our people in this country. The focus of this phase of our transition is socio-economic transformation, and the Honorable Premier probably substantially on the transformation trajectory since the dawn of our democracy in 1994. In this sense, there cannot be any form of natural transition, and it is happening because of the standing ANC policies and the program of action of the African National Congress, which is the National Democratic Revolution. The constitution of this country, the Republic, lays the foundation for democracy, and it binds the states to heal the divisions of the past and establish a social based on democracy, on a democratic values and social justice and fundamental human rights. Honorable Speaker, during the advent of democracy and post-1994, the democratic government of the ANC and the left-wing forces established a number of legislations and mechanisms aimed at advancing socio-economic rights. Today, black people educational levels has improved comparatively speaking. Social grants has, as an example, has also been provided to a number of our people across all racial lines. And I can confirm that a number of households goes to bed not on an empty stomach. A significant proportion of those who were homeless, Honorable Mashilo can confirm that have been given houses by the ANC. Our children are attending school for free. Some of them are being ferried to school by our scholar transport program. Honorable Speaker, on the economic front, one of the milestones as a province that we have done is job creation. The quarterly labor survey has made this revelation comparatively that overall, the overall number of employed people in our province are 1.2 million. The expanded public works program, which is the EPWP, targeting youth, women, and persons with disability, is the main positive contributor to this improvement. I am particularly thrilled, Honorable Speaker, with the Phase 5 EPWP, which will contribute immensely into community infrastructure development and empowering participants with training and skills. Honorable Speaker, also the Premier Youth Development Fund has also produced remarkable results. I want to emphasize the significance of developing and empowering entrepreneurship. It has the potential of fighting unemployment, poverty, and creating jobs. South Africa in general is predominantly a youthful population, and it is critical to devote all our energies and focus as this government towards uplifting the standard of living of young people. We must continue to do so across all racial lines because we do not suffer from an identity crisis, unlike some political parties which witnesses the exodus of its quasi-black leaders living. Such an exodus of black leaders living is mainly predicated on their failed strategy to lure black voters, especially young people, into believing that they are the hope and future of South Africa. Well, Madam Speaker, the ANC, with its people-centered approach to development, is a massive movement. Honorable Speaker, and members, I therefore would like to encourage all of you, in particular young people, to take an advantage of the programs the ANC government has put in place to uplift your standards of living, and that come the 29th of May, 2024, you must bestow the ANC with an authority to advance your interests, desire, and needs. In the ANC, we stick to our aspirations and endeavors in serving the people of this country equally. And as pronounced by the Republic of South Africa's Constitution in Chapter 2, Section 9, we say, let us go to vote for the ANC on the 29th. Honorable Speaker, in this very chamber on Friday, we acknowledged some beneficiaries of our programs who were engaged in various economic activities with businesses owned by young people, women, and people with persons with disabilities. We want to reaffirm and recommit ourselves to our young people, women, and persons with disabilities that we will continue supporting the endeavors from education, skills development, funding, and supporting of their businesses. It is only the ANC government that can do so. Honorable Speaker, tourism in the province plays a pivotal role in the GDP, fighting poverty and job creation. The commitment made by the Premier to revitalize our provincial nature reserves has been achieved, and this is much appreciated by the ANC. We have forged a partnership with several airlines to increase our domestic and international travel, and this will augment tourism. We will continue discharging the obligation bestowed to us by our people to improve their lives. They must not be derailed by quasi-revolutionaries and counterproductive political parties who continue challenging the national democratic revolution. Some are suffering from an identity crisis,
Conclude,
and
honourable
some
member.
faced with repercussions of anger. They are more concerned with office occupation, not the people. It is only the ANC and the mass democratic movement that is concerned about the plight of the people, especially the poor, disadvantaged women, youth, and persons with disabilities. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I will now call upon the Honorable NP Kabela from the EFF, and you are given 11 minutes.
Thank you again, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to the Honorable Premier. Honorable Speaker, let me start by saying we are not interested in throwing shades inside this House, but for us is to deal with serious matters that are affecting our people in this province. Honorable Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to join thousands and thousands of South Africans and the diaspora to wish the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Economic Freedom Fighters as he celebrated his 43rd birthday on Sunday, the 3rd of March, 2024. We do so because his contribution to South Africa body politics remain the most formidable, concrete, and consistent contribution in the fight for the return of the land, the fight for transfer of ownership to the majority of people. His contribution to the fight for building state and government capacity to abolish tenders, the fight for free quality education, health, housing, and sanitation, and the fight for massive industrialization of South Africa and the African continent is what makes his role in our body politics an important mark at the age of 43. It is correct we must count him in the similar line with Thomas Sankara, Amilcar Cabral, Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, Robert Mugabe, and many other revolutionaries. Honorable Speaker, this year's State of the Province marks an important moment in the history of South Africa and the province of Mpumalanga. This is the last Premier address where the ANC holds a majority in this chamber. When we meet again after the 29th of May 2024, we'll receive a State of the Province address that will outline how the process to reorganize and do away with provinces as they are a waste of resources and add no value to service delivery. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, and the people of Mpumalanga, we are sure that you are wondering why the EFF officials came to the SOPA on Friday pushing wheelbarrows with empty buckets and kept on asking for water during the entire session. We were simply conveying a message given to us by a majority of the people of Mpumalanga. For 30 years, our people continue to drink water with animals. Our people do not have clean, dependable, and drinkable water. Honorable Speaker, on Friday we sat for 2 hours listening to the Premier saying a whole lot of nothing, but acknowledging the work done by her predecessors. The Premier could not account for what she and her administration had been able to achieve since they took office, simply because there is absolutely nothing to report. Even her understanding of the state of the province is very questionable. But Speaker, allow us to deal with the real state of the province. The young people of Nkomazi, Msugalikwa, Governbeki do not have jobs. These are young people willing, capable, and ready to contribute and participate in the economy. The province of Mpumalanga contributes to the majority of coal that feeds Eskom coal power station, but we are still suffering with electricity blackouts and load shedding. The province of Mpumalanga stands to lose the most because of the ANC spineless decision to close coal power station. The people nearby Komati coal power station are crying today because of this poor decision. Yet the ANC in Mpumalanga is quite behaving like we do not have a crisis of unemployment already. The children of Sanzile Primary, 3 copies combined, Msogwaba Primary and Hillary Primary are still subjected to pit toilets. Teachers are teaching learners with empty stomachs. Our schools are collapsing with the rich, and politicians send their children to private schools. Clinics and hospitals are on the verge of collapse. The last 30 years of the ANC misgovernance has collapsed public health care. Our people in Gobozi must walk kilometers to go to clinics. There are no ambulances, and this is the progress the corrupt ANC want us to celebrate. We send our children to study to become doctors at international universities, but opportunists steal money and leave our children stranded in foreign countries. Those that come back to South Africa, this government do not support them and help them to get employed. Instead, they have some middlemen looting money. Our roads in the province are in a state of disaster. We are referred to as the capital of potholes in South Africa. A drive from Kamhlushwa past Langa Loop and Bosfontein, Driekompis and Shongwe Hospital in Skumansdal, Komazi is putting one's life in sight of death. A drive between Karino past Tekwane North, Pinar Msogwaba, Lehau and Gedlembani within the city of Mbombela is a cause for many of the deaths in the province. We have now moved from a capital city of potholes to a capital city of no roads as Mpumalanga province. And this is the progress the corrupt and incompetent ruling party want us to celebrate. Our people in Brondal, Tabacheu, have been waiting for houses for the past 30 years. While the world is moving forward, Mpumalanga is moving backward. We are on reverse, going backward at a very fast speed. What is to be done? We need to give our people jobs. We have coal reserves that will and must continue to feed into Eskom coal power stations for many years. We must transfer the wealth of the province to majority of the people through land and participation in the economy. We need to make tourism a priority in a manner that hundreds of foreigners who come to see our beautiful landscape, rivers, animals, and nature feel safe, stay in local hotels, eat local food, and spend their money on locally produced goods. We need to make a list of all people living with disabilities, build houses for them, and make sure that each and every person who can be employed. We need to support SMMEs and the rights of Abo Mama in the streets by ensuring that their rights to trade are protected. We need to restore the dignity of our people by giving them back the land of their forefathers. We must provide free electricity monthly to poor households and pensioners and ensure universal electricity access for all households. We must ensure that there is electricity security and there is supply in our public facilities and institutions at all times. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, allow me to borrow the words of the former ANC president, O.R. Tambo, when he said, open quote, yes. Yeah, he was also progressive, hence I'm quoting him. Open quote, if the ANC government does to you what the apartheid government did to you, then you must do to the ANC what you did to the apartheid government. For the first time in the life of a democracy, we have been presented with a golden opportunity to do to the ANC what we did to the apartheid government in 1994 when we go to the polls on May 29, 2024. I thank you.
Ms. Coating Tambo.
I will now call upon the Honorable R.J. Sitole from the Democratic Alliance, and you're given 5 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You see, Honorable Speaker, I've been serving in this legislature for the past 10 years, and all what I know is that they climb on podiums like this, praise themselves for nothing. Because when you praise yourself, you forget to improve yourself. Year-on-year stats shows that our youth unemployment has increased from 43.5 in 2017 to 46.5 in 2023. Our young people are hanging in street corners. Many have given themselves to a life of drugs and criminality because they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel under ANC-led government. More and more people can't find work because of ANC cadre deployment policy that only give jobs to those who are connected to the ANC or their families and friends. Honorable Speaker, many people have lost their jobs because of ANC job-killing policies. Honorable Speaker, if we look at the last 30 years, the ANC-led government has left a bloody trail. Mpumalanga has become a haven for criminals in the last 30 years. 499 murder cases gets reported in just 3 months. Honorable Speaker, you can't live in a province where 6 people get murdered each day and praise yourself for making our province a haven for criminals. If a country is run by criminals who hides money in the mattresses, criminals will do as they wish. By the end of today, 6 people would have been murdered right here in our province. That is a legacy that you are leaving. Honorable Speaker, it was the ANC-led government who gunned down 43 miners in cold blood while they were fighting for a living wage. Marikana massacre remains a stark reminder of how cruel and heartless this government is. The widows of Marikana were robbed of their loved ones by this government in this democratic dispensation. They were gunned down in cold blood while fighting for a living wage. Honorable Speaker, lest we forget 15-year-old Lucas Libiani from Bushbuck Ridge, who was shot dead by ANC-led government while protesting for water. His right to life was taken away in cold blood by the ANC-led government. He was killed because he was fighting for drinking water. In this democratic dispensation, he was gunned down in cold blood while fighting for drinking water. Honorable Speaker, the past 30 years has been nothing but the glorification of incompetence, thuggery, and criminality. Lest we forget Yvonne Munisi, Pritin Kambule, Solomon Nyerere, who are still buried underground right here at Lily Mine in Barberton. Since 2016, their families are still seeking closure. You know why, Honorable Speaker? Because they are black and their families are poor. This government claimed to care about black people while they oppress them. They are the worst oppressors of the modern day if we look at the way they operate. This government is making no effort whatsoever to find their bodies. Their bodies remain trapped underground. Their families will never find closure. How do you talk about 30 years of freedom where there is no justice? Honorable Speaker, 17-year-old Talent Msi was gunned down on her way to school in Mabola village in the Mkondo local municipality. She was shot and killed in live ammunition while the community was protesting. Guess for what? For drinking water. Families are left in deep pain because of brutality and cruelty of the ANC-led government. Why are people still fighting for drinking water today? Why are people still drinking water with animals as we speak today? Honorable Speaker, the new dawn smells of raw sewer spewing all over our streets. From Tavachu to Governor Mbeki, from Kondo to Victor Kanye, Mpumalanga smells like a dead animal that died 30 years ago. Our municipalities are technically bankrupt and are unable to deliver the basics of the basics such as water. But all what we hear is the ANC politicians climbing on politicians, praising themselves for making their own lives better while the people of Mpumalanga are suffering, while the people of Mpumalanga go to bed hungry at night. ANC-led government brought nothing but lawlessness, criminality, and thuggery in our land. This government has turned our province into a living nightmare for our residents. You have destroyed more lives than you could ever comprehend. You have destroyed everything that was good about Mpumalanga. Nearly 250,000 people in this province go to bed hungry every night, many of them children. ANC-led government denies them of their right to food and in some cases their right to life. One of your legacies that stands out in the last 30 years of this government is you mobilize on the basis of racial hatred. ANC-led government divide people instead of uniting them. They climb on podiums like this and spew venom, as you've already heard, of hatred to divide people for your own narrow political agenda. The DA will continue to put alternative solutions on the table. We will work with you and your administration in the best interest of the people of Mpumalanga. We will continue to hold you and your executive to account, and that we will do without any fear or favor.
Your time is
I
up.
thank you.
I will call upon the Honorable Lachminarain from the ANC, and you're given 8 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, Honorable members of the Executive Council, Honorable members of the Legislature, distinguished guests. It is my greatest honor and pleasure to be part of this historic debate, which takes place as we honor and celebrate 30 years of an epic revolutionary journey of our democratic governance and the restitution of our dignity of all the citizens of this province. Honorable Speaker, the speech by our Premier was an abridged indicator of the great success we have achieved since the beginning of our new democratic dispensation, from 1994 to date, with more emphasis to the success and achievements of our provincial leadership to date. Our provincial government has indeed achieved a lot during the busy years mentioned above. The lives of our people have indeed changed to the best since the ANC took over. Mpumalanga as a province is in reality a better place to live in than the very adverse period before 1994. Our people can now enjoy their stay in the province of their birth with no fear of racist police and the exceptional repression of the apartheid military regime. The Freedom Charter said that the doors of learning and culture shall be opened for all and shall be free and compulsory. Our Honorable Premier also emphasized our recommendations to further improve on all forms of education. We must ensure that our young men and women are well equipped educationally for them to easily navigate themselves through all forms of educational institutions. This will prepare them for a very successful future from lower grades to higher grades of education until their final placements in the permanent workplace. The ANC-led government is now taking a responsibility for the early childhood development in order to prepare our children before they actually start their formal education. In this regard, a solid foundation is laid, and ours is to now lead these young men and women to grab this splendid opportunity. We are happy to hear that we have successfully transferred the ECD function from the Department of Social Development to the Department of Education. We are also happy that our children are receiving their textbooks and stationery on time. All schools are no fee, and each and every learner is guaranteed a meal per day. The enemies of our people continue to criticize our government on these achievements, especially now that we are going to fight for victory during the anticipated national and provincial elections on the 29th of May 2024. The same enemy continues to criticize the most indeed social grants, an indication that they live in opulence and know nothing about poverty. Our government will continue giving the poor this much-needed social grants to put food on the table until enough jobs are created. The Honorable Premier has indicated a great improvement to the lives of our people in the rural areas through the continuous success of EPWPs. These programs have improved the lives of our rural poor and have rendered jobs to the most of areas where it is implemented. The opposition parties still don't see these improvements since they never lived in those rural areas. Our government has built many houses for the poor and continues to do so. Many areas have tarred roads, while clean water to drink can be seen in the most former disadvantaged areas. Honorable Speaker, the ANC-led government has indeed done a lot for those who have progressive eyes to see. It is only the poor of the poorest who appreciate what our government has done, as this can be seen through the massive crowds during the rally organized by the ANC. We have done a lot of spade work to assess the support we have from our people. The results are indeed a very good story to tell. The overwhelming majority of our people never lost hope in the ANC. They all promised to give a shocking surprise to the opposition by retaining the ANC in government. Long live ANC. I thank you all.
I will now call upon the Honorable W.L. Weba from the Freedom Front Plus, and you are given 3 minutes.
Madam Speaker, I had actually decided not to come back after the election, but at the last minute I changed my mind. Ngifuna ukuba khona emva kwekhetho, ngifuna ukunijulukisa ake ndithi kancane. I came back just for that purpose. Now, Madam Speaker, I listened very carefully to your speech, the SOPA address. You were concentrating on what happened the last 30 years. But that's not important. We want to know what is your legacy in the past 5 years. What happened there? And I'm going to hold a mirror to you, that you look into the mirror and decide what you have done. If we look at the programs, the construction of various projects, we see the parliamentary village has not been completed. The fresh produce market has not been completed. The boarding school at Mkondo has not been completed. We're looking at the agri-hub at Mkondo. It's in shambles. That's the legacy of the ANC in this province. If we look at local municipalities, we see that most of the municipalities are on the verge of total collapse. That's your legacy. You were in a position to rectify that. You were in a position to save them, but they are at the point of total collapse, virtually every one of them. If we look at law and order, the MSc of Safety and Security is on record that he has lost the fight against the gangsters. He's lost the fight against those involved in illegal mining. He says that the gangsters crossing the border from Mozambique are better armed. They are stronger than the police force of South Africa. That's a tremendous statement to make, but it has been made. Now, Madam Speaker, I said I want to come back. And makubonakala ukuthi ANC ikhathele. We are, the Freedom Front is a caring political party. Sifuna ukuniphumuza, manikhathele, khulumani nathi. Ngizawukhulumana laba bonke laba ukuthi si join forces. We are going to join forces because we are a caring party. We care about the ANC members. If they are tired, we will relieve them. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
I will call upon the Honorable BP Shiba from the ANC, and you're given 8 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Premier, honorable members, ngiyanibingelela. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to participate in this State of the Province Address debate. Let me start by appreciating the Honorable Premier for delivering such an insightful SOPA that reminded us of the gains that our province has made under the ANC-led government. It was very clear and undisputable that what this government has achieved in a short period of time is very remarkable. Anyone who can't see that will be just grasping at straws, because we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses who can point to multitude of evidence throughout the province. Honorable Speaker, ngicela ibhentshi elingalelelisise kahle-ke manje ngoba ngizabe ngigijimisa okonyasi. Honorable Speaker, who can deny the process that this sixth administration has made in areas of small business development, industrialization, agriculture and job creation? In agriculture, for example, we have restructured our focus by ensuring that we approach the development in line with the agriculture and agro-processing master plan and channel our interventions along the agricultural development corridors. Let me remind this august house that millions of people witnessed you, Honorable Premier and Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, launching the Marapiane Bakgatla Primary Co-op as a grain primary producer and rusk milling as a secondary grain processor in June last year. That initiative has gained momentum and different stakeholders such as banks and wholesale market came on board. During this administration, the reality of climate change was undeniably a factor of concern, and as such, we acted swiftly to implement climate-smart agricultural strategies, including minimal tillage, tiller seeds, and well-renowned smart agriculture boxes. Through these strategies, our farmers have survived the fall armyworm outbreak while continuing to improve their production instead. A good example is Lesibala Hamuhlala cooperatives, which through using tiller seeds, they managed to improve their yield from 1 ton per hectare to 3 tons per hectare. This has attracted other countries like Mozambique, Ethiopia, Egypt, to mention just few. Already with the smart agriculture, we have reached over 7,300 individuals, of which majority are women, who directly benefited from the project. Additionally, 1,000 churches, 60 traditional leaders in communal areas, 2 schools, and 10 social centers have benefited from this project. In this way, we are ensuring that we leave no one behind. This initiative has created 4,960 jobs for young people and 500 for the adult. Some of these initiatives introduced by our farmers have earned them local and international accolades in Zambia, Zimbabwe, and here at home. Again, this is to curb in the main the challenge of climate change, which includes drought, floods, and disease. Honorable Speaker and members, our province has, according to the Stats SA report of 2022, moved from the 6th to being the country's 4th largest regional economy. Among this positive news has been the contribution of agriculture as an economic sector. To grow our economy further and sustain this growth, it is proven economic fact that beneficiation of primary agricultural produce increase the economy far more than just trading primary produce. We have thus embarked on an aggressive program to agro-process Mpumalanga's primary agricultural produce. The revitalization of the Shamile Sinteko Tea Estate, a land reform farm restituted in 2007, is one such example. Through the initiative, we will be agro-process the existing 575 hectares of green tea into green tea products, as well as exploit the medicinal benefits of green tea via the extradition of catanins, which is plant-based chemicals that is found to have powerful antioxidants effect in people and many countless health benefits, including weight management and cancer treatment. We are also going to explore the possibility of producing different medicinal products from the tea and cannabis. This is the reason we are also expanding production into cannabis in the same estate. Already the project has created 250 jobs, of which 175, the 70% are women, and 188, 75% are youth, while 25, 10% are people with disability. We are pleased to announce that the first harvest of tea leaves is ready for picking. Honorable Speaker, our collaboration with the private sector and parasitals have yielded good results across the province. Another good example is our partnership with Sasol, who donated 130 hectares of land in Secunda, wherein we are developing the Mpumalanga Agri Park. Currently, there are 2 cooperatives operating at the site, Esperanza and the Misele, with about 10 beneficiaries that include women and youth. As we are talking, the refurbishment of 7 times 5,000 poultry units, 20 soap piggery building structures are completed, and 15 jobs were realized during construction, and 10 permanent jobs are secured. Honorable Speaker, as we acknowledge that the struggle for political and economic freedom was about land, and our ancestors fought endlessly against the British and Boers over land dispossession. Our history of conquest and dispossession, of forced removal, and the racially skewed distribution of land resources has left us with a complex and difficult legacy. As our Premier has noted that before President Mandela could take an oath on the 27th of April in 1994, more than 85% of land in this province was in the hands of the minority. Today, about 1,767,370 hectares of land have been acquired and transferred to the hands of the previously disadvantaged through our land reform program of restitution and redistribution. Nkuluma nje, Honorable Speaker, 555,000 hectares siwabuyisele back kuma communal property association benefiting abantu ababenefithe lapho banga 110,000. Uma sicula umhlabeleli othi yini socialism, umhlaba wonke ezandleni zabantu, akukho umuntu ongaphatha umhlaba ngayedwa. Sikhuluma ngento esiyenzayo, we are practicing what we preach. And about 166 hectares of land is leased to previously disadvantaged farmers through the Proactive Land Acquisition Scheme program for productive agricultural use. Sengivala, Honorable Speaker, izolo nje sinikezela ama-title deeds komama, kuma-families awu-5 aphethwe omama lapha eNkangala, oyi-1 wabo u-disabled. Honorable Speaker, yiko sithi umhlaba wonke ezandleni zabantu, sikhuluma nge-reality. Thank you very much.
I will call upon the Honorable B. Grobler from the Democratic Alliance, and you are given 3 minutes.
Speaker.
Can you please take your seat, Honorable Grobler? Honorable Tom.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I just want to raise, not necessarily an order, but just to remind you, Speaker, of the rules of this House, because this House is governed by rules and orders. And part of these rules is that members of the public who are part of this House should not clap hands or participate. So we ought to be consistent with the application of these rules. Thank you very much, Speaker. Because we also have capacity to pass our own people.
They can clap hands. Honorable Tomo, in terms of our rules, Rule 34, which is the conduct in the House, and subsection 12. Members or members of the public may not sing or converse aloud in the chamber during a sitting. They can clap hands, but not sing or converse aloud in the chamber. Can I request Honorable Grobler?
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Great leadership shown there by you, Honourable Speaker. It's really a great privilege to represent the party that's going to rescue South Africa in 2024, the Democratic Alliance, in this specific debate. Honourable Speaker, the Premier in her State of the Province address stated repeatedly that numbers do not lie. Our economy, Honourable Speaker, is in ICU with increasing food prices, petrol prices increasing again tonight, unemployment that's high. It's really, our economy is in a dire state. And Honourable Premier, as you said, numbers do not lie. If I was in charge of Mega, I also wouldn't have mentioned it in the State of the Province address, because Mega in the past 4 financial years lost 608.8 million rand. And as you said, Premier, numbers do not lie, and I also wouldn't mention them. Honourable Premier, Honourable Speaker, through you, in this province we have 5.1 million people. 1 out of 4 South Africans are diagnosed with cancer every day. And now we are building a hospital with 12 oncology beds. Really, that's not something to boast about. And as you say, Premier, numbers do not lie. Honourable Premier, in your State of the Province address at the start of the 6th administration, you said, going forward, there shall be zero tolerance for the ill treatment of our people in health facilities. Just the past month, the DA saw an old 85-year-old man that was in need of a hip replacement who was sent from pillar to post, and he wasn't helped in this province. Unfortunately, he passed away this past weekend. May his soul rest in peace. But Honourable Premier, his legal case will now join the other legal cases against the Health Department, adding to 9 billion rand in litigation cases against the department. And as you say, numbers do not lie. Honourable Speaker, through you, Honourable Premier, you mentioned the pull-through rate was sitting at 72% in 2023. That is a far cry from reality. In 2021, there was 92,596 grade 10 learners in Mpumalanga. In 2023, only 50,429 grade 12 learners passed the exam, and that gives your pass rate as 54.5%. Numbers do not lie. Honourable Premier, through you, Honourable Speaker, I can stand here and speak about our NHI that's going to fail, and MEC, our hospitals are not ready. I can speak about crime and people living in fear. I can speak about potholes that's bad. But the MECs of this province pat themselves on the back because they think they are doing a good job. I am here to bring hope. I'm saying the DA, the Democratic Alliance, is going to rescue South Africa. We're going to start in this province by putting a new executive in the Steve Tshwete local municipality. We'll bring good governance to that municipality, and then we'll save them, the municipalities of this province, one by one. Mpumalanga residents of South Africa, fear not, the
Your
DA is
time is
coming,
up,
and we are
Honourable
going
Member.
to rescue South Africa. I thank you.
I will call upon the Honorable S.K. Mashilo from the ANC, and you're given 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, to the Honorable Premier, members of Executive Council, members of this august House. Honorable Speaker, yesterday I came across with one gentleman who is indeed an intellectual, and he says to me, "What are you going to do today?" And when I said we're going to debate the SOPA, he said it's a waste of time because the Premier has said it all. Honorable Speaker, the difficulty of presenting the State of the Province address to the debate in an election year was best summarized by President Thabo Mbeki in the first NGC of the ANC when he argued, open quote, "As comrades we are aware much of too often whenever we meet in conference to elect our executive committee from the branch executive committees upwards, many comrades spent a large amount of time canvassing, lobbying, and making deals to have their favorites elected into executive position. Even during this discussion, some of the delegates will stand up and speak, not because they have anything to say, but because they want the delegates to see them and hear their revolutionary speeches, even if these speeches have nothing to do with what is under discussion. Unfortunately, today you are facing the same challenges in this august House, Premier. People will stand up to criticize and oppose your well-delivered SOPA because they must be seen to have said something, even though that they have said is literally nothing. It's like it's lack a vision and it lacks alternative ideas. Your SOPA presented on Friday, Premier, have explained details in terms of the work done by this province and this administration. And the details are in the speeches that have been given to honorable members. As you would have heard, there was a lot of nothing which was said by opposition parties here today, except trying to electioneer. But nonetheless, let us attempt to address the lies.
myth and distorting, because if they are left unchallenged, they might be misconstrued as a truth and unscrupulous citizens. Honorable Speaker, on the 16th of May 2016, the leader of DA in the Western Cape wrote to to a mayor of a municipality when he was about to deploy or appoint a municipal manager. And he said in Afrikaans, I'll translate it in English, you must not attempt to fill the vacancy because it's the responsibility of the provincial structure to conclude the matter, close quote. This confirmed, Premier, that there is
Honorable Mashilu, can you please take your seat?
cadre deployment.
Honorable Grobler.
Speaker, thank you. Thank you. I just want to ask the MEC a question, whether he's speaking about this State of the Province address or the Western Cape State of the Province address. Thank you, Speaker.
He's got nothing to say about Honorable Mashilu, can you please proceed?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, Speaker, on the 12th of February 2024, an article written by the developer did mention this, Honorable Speaker, and I quoted verbatim, so that there is no distortion, because we said facts are always says. The email addressed to Mr. Grobler, presumably Bosman Grobler, an employee of the Democratic Alliance in Mpumalanga. This letter is about agreements which, according to them, recommend should be implemented in May. What is that recommendation? And evidence is found to Democratic Alliance involvement in power outages in South Africa, sabotage of the load shedding. So the load shedding that we are speaking about is not by accident. It is indeed by design. Because certainly there are parties that are interested to mislead our people because they want to lead this government. We must be careful of the wage drivers. I know they will say this.
Can I take
I'm
a point
quoting
of
from
order?
what is
Honorable
written
Mashilu, please
in black and white.
Take your seat. Honorable Stole.
Honorable Speaker, the rules of the House states clearly that a member on the podium must not mislead the House.
Yes.
To come here and say the DA is causing load shedding, I think even a child in grade R can make up where load shedding comes from. If you are going to rely on newspaper articles or journalists that you bought to write things about people, you mustn't bring them to this House. The DA has got nothing to do with load shedding, and even someone that did not go to school know that. We all know that load shedding is an ANC man-made issue. Now the DA is now causing load shedding? Really? And you can bring that? Do you really believe that? Now I'm doubting your own capacity in terms of thinking. Because you standing there believing that the DA is causing load shedding in this country makes me doubt whether you are fit to be in this House. Thank you.
What is the issue, Speaker?
Honorable Sitole, in terms of the rules, the freedom of speech and debate, Rule 33, members and the province permanent delegates have freedom of speech in the legislature and its committees, subject to the Constitution, these rules, and any other law. Can you please proceed, Honorable Mashilu?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, what is here is written is not being disputed by the anyway. But however, I'm quoting verbatim from what is on the public domain. And I think this House is important not to be misled in whatsoever. Honorable Speaker, the decision makers across this globe have accepted the reality that the global struggle to eradicate poverty and underdevelopment is fundamental to well-being of human society. We know this is a matter of fact that the struggle to eradicate the poverty and underdevelopment in our own province is fundamental to the achievement of our own national goal to build a caring and a people-centered society. Of decisive importance to the millions of the people of our province, as we meet here today, the central question we'll have to answer at this end of the day, which is the end of this debate, is whether what we are doing as the legislature and the executive is helping to lift from the shoulders of our people the intolerable burden of poverty and underdevelopment. I must indicate, Speaker, in your address, you were very absolute in terms of the bridge that is about to be constructed around Emalahleni, which is a crossing bridge of its own kind. That's part of the development, Premier, in the history and in your legacy shall be left for whoever does not know that. Your announcement, Premier, to deal with the crime that is engulfed the province and the country at large is one thing that is critical to appoint over 1,000 law enforcers. I will refer that as a REF program, which indeed is one of the best programs. I sat there listening all the speakers and can safely say none of the speakers in the opposition offer solution to answer these questions. They just want to blame everyone without taking any responsibility, despite they get paid of doing this responsibility to do oversight across the province. They will not do that. Instead, they will come here and do grandstanding. Of course, it is an election year. They should be able to do that. Madam Speaker, do not be deterred. The government you had, Madam Premier, do not be deterred. The government you led, those which came before you, have lived up to the Karl Marx words when he strongly argued, open quote, men make their own history, but they do not make it. They do not make it as they please. They do not make it under self-selected circumstances, but under circumstances existing already, given transmitted from the past. The transition of all dead generations weigh like a nightmare on the brains of the living, close quote. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, Madam Speaker, the work before you is still long, and work before this ANC is still long. As Mandela once said, you will climb one step, there's so many steps ahead. Thank you very much.
That concludes the debate on the Premier's State of the Province address, and that concludes the business for the day. You are all requested to remain standing in your places until the procession has left the chamber. The House is adjourned until Friday, the 8th of March 2024 at 10 o'clock in this very same chamber.
All rise.